Hello everyone and welcome to this special episode of Marxist Voice. My name is Adam Booth, the editor of socialist.net. I'm your host for tonight, and of course for those who aren't aware, this Marxist Voice is the channel and podcast of Socialist Appeal, the British section of the International Marxist Tendency. We are the Marxist voice of labour and youth, as we say. You can follow us obviously on all our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And of course tonight we're having this special broadcast because of the incendiary events really that have exploded today in terms of the Labour Party, the release of the EHRC report into alleged anti-semitism within the Labour Party, and of course most noticeably the suspension, the outrageous, scandalous suspension of Jeremy Corbyn by the new Labour leadership for coming out in defence basically of the left and some of the accusations that have been levelled around anti-Semitism. And obviously this has seen Jeremy Corbyn suspended today as a member and had the whip withdrawn as an MP. And tonight, to discuss these events and most importantly how the left should respond, we're very lucky to be joined once again by Rob Sewell, editor of Socialist Appeal. So welcome there, Rob. Thanks again for joining us tonight. And I guess really the first obvious question is, what exactly do these events today represent? What is this suspension of Corbyn?
Well, clearly, many people would say this is, particularly in the Labour Party, would say it's an outrage and it's a scandal. But on the other hand, you could say that it's not a complete surprise given the trajectory of the past 6 or 9 months, where Starmer has basically tried to shift the party to the right and obliterate the Corbyn era. And as a consequence, he's removed all the left wingers from the shadow cabinet and even got rid of Rebecca Long-Bailey. And clearly he's trying to prove himself as the safe pair of hands for capitalism, and that he's an establishment man. And as he says, the Labour Party's under new management, new leadership. We're back to the good old days when the right wing controlled the Labour Party. So this is part of this, really. It's part of the process. And therefore, I don't think we should be shocked by it, but it shows how ruthless the right wing are prepared to be when it comes to defending their particular patch. And I think know thy enemy. It's clearly clear that the right wing in the Labour Party and the trade unions for that matter, are the attack dogs of capitalism. They are the defenders of capitalism in the ranks of the Labour movement. And as a consequence, of course, they defend capitalism. They also defend their own careers, which is also very important as far as they're concerned. And they're prepared to take whatever measures are needed to serve that particular end. And the reason for this, the reason why they're so strident, and the reason why they're prepared to take these measures, is because they feel the backing of the establishment, of capitalism, of the bourgeois press, of the ruling class that stands behind them and urges them on, and therefore they feel confident to be able to engage in this kind of the beginning of a purge, really, in the Labour Party. And I think we have to appreciate that behind them stands capitalism, the interests of capitalism, and they would like to go the whole hog. I think it was Tony Blair who said that to really turn back the clock to pre-Corbyn days, we have to expel or get rid of, in one form or another, 300,000 ordinary Labour Party members.
Yeah.
And whether they're expelled or driven out or demoralised by any means necessary, and that's what they're attempting to do. And this is part of this process, I believe.
So really it's a declaration of war by this new leadership. As you say, they've even had this campaign where they've signified what new leadership they are, the flag waving, the patriotism, the rightward turn. And after a few months of kind of repeating the hollow, vacuous statement for unity and so forth, this really seems to be like, this is a declaration of war now. This is the right wing throwing the gauntlet down to the left. And as you said, it's really going beyond just the question of Jeremy Corbyn himself, but I've seen today there's reports coming out that staffers at Labour HQ are being told to basically trawl social media and look for anyone who's defending Corbyn and agreeing with his statements regarding some of the criticisms he's made around the EHRC report and the accusations of anti-Semitism. So clearly they are, as you say, going for an entire purge of the left. There's also the campaign against anti-Semitism, which is a kind of right-wing campaign being led against the left. They've also said that they want to see investigations into 15 other Labour MPs, all left-wingers, people like Diane Abbott, Richard Bergen, Rebecca Long-Bailey. So as you say, this is really the beginnings of an attempt to expunge the left from top to bottom. And why do you think it's now that they're trying to kind of go about this? Why have they waited until this point to suddenly make this big, bold move?
Well, it's obviously planned. There's no question about that. And it's a strategy. And they believe, I would imagine, that the report from the EHRC was going to be, the firing shot for a declaration of war on the left and an attempt to drive out the militant ranks in the constituency parties, and clearly that's part of the setup. We know that this question of anti-Semitism has been used for political ends. It's quite clear we're against anti-Semitism in all its forms, but it was certainly blown out of all proportion and used deliberately by the right wing as a means to attack Corbyn, attack the leadership, and sabotage the Labour Party. And again, they haven't finished with this particular weapon, if you like, which is a scandal. Mm-hmm. And yes, they're now going to trawl to try and find anybody who supports Corbyn or justifies Corbyn's stand is potentially in the firing line to get removed from the Labour Party. But this is no time to hide. I think this is a question of standing up to these people, and a fight should be declared. We can't just mess about. They feel if there's enough weakness, then it invites greater aggression, as we know. And if they think that that people are going to accept it, then they will be emboldened to carry through further and further measures. And that is why it's imperative that the left makes a stand, not just a stand, goes on the offensive. The best form of defence is attack, precisely. And they should be attacked. I mean, Starmer came into the leadership promising to defend the 10 points and the heritage, so-called of Corbyn, and unity, above all unity. What's unity going to do with this measure? Unity's out of the window.
Yeah. And
that's just a ploy in order to get votes to get elected. And once he was elected, then he's to prove to the establishment he was the man who's going to carry through an attempted counter-revolution in the Labour Party to bring the Labour Party back, as I said, under the domination of the right wing itself. And so this is just a preconceived plan in order to accomplish this. But it's easier said than done, of course. You can have a plan, but whether it can be carried out, it depends on the resistance that is shown. And that's, of course, they have attempted. I know there's a circular gone round from the General Secretary of the Labour Party to all constituencies, basically saying you can't discuss the question of this report from the Equalities Commission. It's a legal matter. Therefore, you cannot raise issues. In other words, they've attempted to bury the discussion, and they've used this pandemic, by the way, because there's no Labour Party meetings taking place in a face-to-face capacity. They've used this in order to secure their position and really squeeze out people and demoralise people in order to strengthen their position.
It strikes me as quite similar, Rob. It strikes me as quite similar in that respect. The real opportunists, these right-wingers, as you say, this is clearly orchestrated. I was watching Keir Starmer's official statement that he put out from the Labour Party earlier today, and every single one of the questions that they invited in was obviously pre-arranged, and it was all from the usual mainstream media channels, and every single one of them was saying, this isn't going far enough, you need to suspend Corbyn, are you going to do that, are you willing to do that? And then lo and behold, obviously the suspension of Corbyn came, and then you've got the calls for the suspension of other left-wingers, other MPs, other members. It all seems highly orchestrated to me, and very reminiscent actually of the 2016 chicken coup, where again they took advantage of the kind of chaos in the wake of the Brexit referendum result to suddenly launch this attempt to get rid of Corbyn back then. Only now, obviously, it's not just removing Corbyn. Corbyn's already gone. It's trying to remove, as you say, the hundreds of thousands of members that stand in the way. Now, back then, we fought the chicken coup with kind of mass mobilisation. You saw Momentum calling big demonstrations, and it was really the grassroots kind of response that actually overturned that and defeated that coup attempt. Do you think we need something like that again today, really? This kind of groundswell of a mass campaign to fight back?
Sure, if Momentum and the left are worth their salt, this is what they should be doing. It's a battle for the survival of the Labour Party in many respects. And they've got to be the forefront of it, and the members of Parliament. Now's the time. There's no point in beating around the bush, hoping that Starmer's going to be, nice and gentle to everybody else. And this is just, keep quiet, keep unity. Some people said, we should, still maintain unity. Well, how can I have unity with people who are stabbing you in the back? And anyway, this is nothing new. Let's be clear about it. You mentioned the chicken coup 2016. It's been an ongoing civil war since 2005. As soon as Corbyn got elected, there's been a civil war in the Labour Party pursued by the right wing, armed and backed by the capitalists and the media in order to discredit Corbyn on the one hand and to basically undermine the whole left wing in the party. And it's been an ongoing battle. And this is the culmination of it. Unfortunately, I would say that the left in the past didn't meet that challenge as it should have been done. As I explained before, the right wing are quite ruthless when it comes to defending their position. And that's been historical in the Labour Party. This is not the first time they've attacked the left. In the 1950s, they tried to expel Nye Bevan. They talk about the great Nye Bevan, built the National Health Service. These people they took the whip off him and they tried to expel him. And every time the left have attempted to act more boldly, the right wing have taken vicious action in expulsions and so on. They talk about a broad church. Their only church they're interested in is their own right wing church, if you like. And it's a farce. And clearly, these people are